Southern California, and welcome to this week's edition of Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I am joined here by Tom. He is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management. Tom, my friend, this is such a joy to be with you. I'm very honored to get to share this time in the studio with you.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. We've been looking forward to it for a long time.
We have, yes. Yeah. We got to meet several months ago at a conference and immediately hit it off, and I'm just really excited to be able to serve Southern California with you today.
Yeah, very much so on this side too.
Well, great. Well, I know you've put together a fabulous show for our viewers at home. We are going to be talking today about a subject that affects everyone in retirement, and of course it is at the top of people's minds as it's been in the news recently. That is the subject of Social Security. So let's start with that, Tom. What news has recently come out that has everyone buzzing about Social Security?
Well, for about 12 years, they've been telling us in the Social Security reports that you used to get in the mail and now you have to get online to get, that this little paragraph down at the bottom, it's been saying by 2034 or by 2033. It changes each year up and down. It seems like 79% of your benefits will be able to be paid unless Congress changes the law and changes the rules. So that's been the warning up until now. And then what happened was about 3 weeks ago, they came out with a report, and it was very good because it really drove it home. And we like to do stuff like that for you. But what does that mean to you? They drove it home by saying the average American would lose between $8,000 and $17,000 worth of benefit if we did go down in the benefits to 79%.
And so that's per year,
per
right?
year and per person. So if you're a married couple, depending on 2 Social Securities, you're very right. Each year you would lose that much. And so the married couple would lose between $16,000 and $34,000 unless things change. So the law has to be changed. And I don't know why. They must have had a lag week about 8 weeks ago, and they started talking about it. Maybe we do some things, maybe we change some things. It was in the news, and so that's when that article came out, because they were actually talking about it in Congress at that time.
Well, and I think, you know, we've heard a lot of these kind of stats. It's been bubbling for a while, but once you put a monetary amount on it, that's what really does drive it home for folks.
Yeah.
That's considerable.
When that's coming out of my wallet, I feel it.
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
So, of course, again, the next logical question on everyone's mind is, what can Congress do to actually fix this?
Well, Congress can go back about 12 years and fix it 12 years ago, and it would be a lot better. Because it's like the old Fram oil filter commercial, pay me now or pay me later, and if you pay me later, it's going to cost a lot more. Social Security was originally built to have a provision so that they raised the full retirement age over a period of time. In fact, they've done it twice already. When Social Security started at 65, you could get full retirement age, and then it was then at 66, and then they bumped it to 67, and they made a graduation of 2 months per year between the ages if you were born in 1955 to 1959, and if you were born in 1960 or this side of 1960, they bumped it to 67, and then they stopped raising the full retirement age. Now there was a big debate at a presidential campaign about 8 years ago now, and one of the candidates said, let's move the full retirement age up to 70, and they booed him. That's the only thing that long-term is going to make this work. When they first started Social Security, you can get your initial benefits at 62, and the average American male lived to 61 years and 8 months. So if you got to your Social Security, you were pretty much living on borrowed
your
time.
Your full retirement, right?
Right, yeah. You were past full retirement, okay? And so what they need to do, and it's built in, they've done it twice, they need to just move that cheese a little bit further away for the people who are younger, and that would help. They've also talked about now you can be taxed, and we'll talk about this in a little bit later segment. You can also be taxed on up to 85% of your Social Security benefit. And they've talked about, well, why don't we just go ahead and move that up to 100% of your Social Security benefit to be taxed? I heard one time on a little vinyl record, Franklin Roosevelt, when he was trying to get, at the Fireside Chats, he was trying to get Social Security passed. And he said, if you pass Social Security, it will never, ever be taxed. And I always ask in my live training seminars where we do Social Security and taxes, did he lie? And the crowd will say, oh, yeah, he lied. And I'll say, no, he didn't lie. He just died.
Right.
Because then after he passed away, then they began to tax it. 1984. And by the way, it was both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans. So I'm going to be very fair politically. Republican President Reagan signed the bill that was passed by a Democratic Congress that was led by Tip O'Neill. And they raised taxes again. So you will be taxed. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They're saying, let's just now raise what you're taxed on up to 100%. The other thing is you pay FICA tax, is what you might see it on your paycheck, up to about $160,000 in 2023. The other idea is just to continue to tax you on till as much money as you make, not stop the FICA tax at that point.
Right. Well, gosh, to your point, this is the problem, right? Is that when Social Security was designed, no one imagined that people would be living another 30 years beyond full retirement age, and yet that's what we're seeing. We are living longer than we ever have before.
Precisely. Well said.
Well
said.
I know that your passion is to help folks make this make sense for them, right? And really help understand, okay, what can I do to fix my own Social Security? So if you're at home and you're wondering, okay, what can be done about this? What do you do for your clients, and how do you help people figure out a plan, a solid plan, so that they know how to navigate these challenges with their Social Security?
Well, everything we've said, that's the most important question right there. What are you going to do? What are you, first of all, you can't control Congress. You can't determine whether they're going to make a new law, change the rules, go ahead and support it 100%, raise the money. You can't control any of that. So what can you control? Number one, I would look at your Social Security. You can get on ssa.gov and find out your individual Social Security by establishing an account. Look at your Social Security, and when you're developing, and what we do with our clients is when we're developing a retirement blueprint, the very foundational aspect of a retirement blueprint is your income. What kind of income are you going to have in retirement? And we find that the average American has 40% of their income, probably you, around 40% of your income coming in retirement comes from Social Security. What are you going to do if that's cut to 30%? Then we discuss this with our clients. What happens if there is an $8,000 to $17,000 reduction in what each of you are getting for retirement? So that's the first thing you can do. But the far bigger question, Kristen, is what are you going to do to fill in the other 60%?
Yes, that income gap.
That income gap. Now, some people are continuing to work longer. You can read reports in the Wall Street Journal on a regular basis. People are working longer. People are having what's called a hybrid retirement. 43% of the people who are in retirement have gone back to work. In some, maybe a little piddly job. It might not be as intense as the job that you've had in the last 20 or 30 years, of your earning period of time that you lived, but it is still a job that's bringing in income to help fill that gap. When you come in, when you call in to the number we'll give you in a minute, and you call in and you set an appointment with one of our 6 all-star advisors in one of our 5 offices that we have now spread all over Southern California, the very first thing we will sit down with you in building a retirement blueprint, we will take a blank piece of paper and we will start with you. What is your Social Security? What pensions do you have? What rental income do you have? Do you have any other sources of income? And we build, first of all, as a foundation of that retirement blueprint, your income plan. And from then, we develop from that, we're going to develop how are you going to fill that other 60%. And it's really crucial that you have 3 plans: an income plan, an investment plan, and a tax plan. And all of that is part of what we do in building a personalized retirement blueprint for every one of you who call in. So give us a call. Our number is 866-709-1462. That's 866-709-1462. You'll meet with one of our all-star advisors. All of them are licensed as fiduciaries and dealing with you. That means they're going to work in your best interest. We all share and build these plans together every Monday. We have half the day dedicated to building the plans we're going to present that week. And the foundation is income, and the foundation and the major load, mother load of that income generally is, what are we going to do about Social Security if you have Social Security? Otherwise, you might have a pension or whatever. And then how are we going to fill that gap? But they've got to call in.
Absolutely. Well, this is a great opportunity to do that. Tom, thank you so much. We are going to take a quick commercial break, but again, that number to call is on the bottom of your screen to get your own complimentary retirement blueprint, 866-709-1462. You're also welcome to take out your smartphone, and you can simply scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and a member of the team of Mosley Wealth Management will be able to reach out to you to schedule your complimentary meeting that way as well. When we come back, we're going to be diving into some of the common misconceptions about Social Security and taxation. Stay with us, more after this.
Fiduciary is a big word in our industry, and fiduciary means you act in a client's best interest. At Mosley Wealth Management, you are an individual. You're different than anybody else on this planet. You look different. You've got a different Social Security number. You live at a different address. Everything about you is different. The first visit is just getting to know them, getting to know where they are. We literally start with a blank legal pad. And at the end of that meeting, we just say, okay, you've brought a lot of stuff here. Do you want us to look at this stuff and see what we would recommend? And when I look at statements that people bring me from so-called fiduciaries, and I ask them, I say, why did you get put 50% in this and 50% in this? Many times they'll say, well, that's what the advisor said he likes to do. My question is, would I do this for my mom? Would I do this for my dad? Would I do this for myself? So you really have to sit back sometimes and say, if I were them, if I were sitting on their side of the table, what would I do? And I've literally sat in my office at least once every 2 or 3 weeks and try to put together a case for somebody where it's iffy as to whether they'll make it or not. And you have to ask yourself, what would I do if I were in their situation? And never, ever recommend something that you wouldn't do if you were right where they are.
Welcome back to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. And Tom, we are having a very valuable discussion today all about Social Security. And I'm so excited for this next section because in my work as a financial educator and traveling throughout the country, I have found there's often tons of misconceptions about Social Security. And one of the primary ones has to do with the taxation of Social Security. So we're going to dive into that. You know, let's talk about that because a lot of people aren't even aware that their Social Security could potentially be taxed.
Well, in California, there is no state tax on Social Security, so that's a really good thing.
Right, not all states are equal, so that's
not all states are equal. I believe only 13 states, are that way, but 13 states don't tax Social Security. Newsflash: California doesn't charge tax on something, so we need
that's shocking breaking news, right?
That should be national news. It should lead the country, but federal tax, when you reach certain levels with federal tax, you could be taxed on up to 85% of your benefits. And so it is something that Muhammad Ali always said, the punch that I didn't expect was the one that knocked me out. And so you need to at least know that you could face taxation of your Social Security.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, talk about the situation if someone's still working, because obviously that's happening too. A lot of people, obviously, we're living longer than we ever have before, but a lot of folks are working past Social Security age. So how does that affect the taxation of their benefit?
Well, a lot of people, I had a guy came in one time, and his name was Ralph, and he worked for a guy named Fred who was a client of mine.
Okay.
And he came in and he's almost really excited. He says, I'm Ralph, I work for Fred, he's your client, and I'm just turning 62 next month, and my brother Bubba the plumber told me to go down and turn on my Social Security, and because you never know how long those suckers are going to pay it, and that happens. And then a lot of times people get laid off between the time they're 62 and they reach that full retirement age. And so they want to go down and you're searching for income. It's a natural search.
Right.
Where do I get income? Let me turn on my Social Security. And so you go on and you turn on your Social Security after you're 62 and before you get to your full retirement age. Well, there's an income limit as to what you can make. And so this guy, I was asking him, I said, well, what do you do for Fred? And well, I drive the crane. You know, I pick up the steel. I can pick it up on the ground and pick it up 52 floors right now and just drop it into place. And I was thinking, you probably make pretty good money. What do you make, Ralph? And he said, I make about $125,000 a year. Well, the buzzer went off, because when you're 62 and you're not full retirement age and you're still working, you say, well, I might turn on my Social Security a little bit early. You can only make $21,240 a year. $21,240 a year. That's the number for 2023.
Yes.
And then you start paying for every $2 over that, they take back $1 of your Social Security.
The give-backs.
Yeah,
The dreaded give-backs.
So it's
Yep.
definitely something. It's like a lot of things. Not that I would think our Uncle Sam and our Aunt Iris, that's called the IRS, you know, because they're married now. And not that I would think my uncle and my aunt would on purpose build some booby traps for us, but that is one big one. Because like if the person gets laid off at 62, and then they go and they turn on Social Security,
right,
and they get a better job because jobs are still out there, and they get a better job and they're making more than that, then for every $2 over, they've got to pay back that $1 of Social Security.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because again, those are a lot of the traps that people can unknowingly fall into, and all of a sudden they don't realize that they're hurting themselves in
Right.
a certain situation, right? I mean, it might make sense for someone to go ahead and turn it on if they're still working, but if you're not aware of those givebacks, that can be a huge sucker punch out of nowhere.
And it's around you, and you don't know it until you file your income tax next year,
right,
and you can't go back to this year and do anything about it.
Yes,
That's the real key.
That's the problem,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, what about if someone owes taxes on Social Security? Talk to me a little bit about what they need to know about that.
That is so key, because so many people, they might have a pension, or they might have income still from a job, and they turn on Social Security even if they're past their full retirement age, and they might get 20, 25, 30,000. You know, you can get now up to over $50,000 if you max out your Social Security. I think the top number now is around $4,600 a month that you could get. Well, that's another $50,000+, and if you don't have money withheld from Social Security, it's a gotcha. If you're out there, you need to call in and just let us know who you are. If you like, in April of every year, writing a big fat check to the IRS, let us know, because we want to make sure and mark you. You'll probably be identified and tracked and all kind of other stuff, because nobody likes to get caught owing a big sum to the IRS. No. And so we encourage you to make sure that you're having money withheld. That's why we're financial advisors. We invest money. We help people set up with a retirement blueprint that's going to be a plan for the rest of their life. But we want to really give you advice that's not going to lead you into the gotchas that I think Uncle Sam and Aunt Iris have for us, because you need to be aware of rules and not, well, I learned that one the hard way. Well, let us learn it the easy way for you and teach you the easy way. And that's what we do when we sit down with somebody. It's really a blank piece of paper, because your situation is entirely different. You may not be taxed on your Social Security because your income levels are at such level, 25,000 or below for single, 32,000 and below for married couples. If your earned income and your provisional income is lower than that, you might not be taxed on your Social. It might not be an issue, but it very well might be if you're surviving and thriving in Southern California. And so that's why we sit down. Every one of my advisors has passed the National Social Security Advisors exam, and they are certified by the National Social Security Advisors Association. And there's one thing that we do know solidly backwards and forwards at our plan. We're known, there are other companies in Orange County, where we've been forever, we've now expanded all over Southern California, who will actually say because people have come in and they said, well, the reason we're over here is we went over to see the other guy and we asked him about Social Security, and they said, if you want to know about Social Security, you got to go see Mosley Wealth, because they're the ones who deal with that. That is what we really can help you with in that bottom floor. of income. And that's where we start when we build you a retirement blueprint. Hey, do you have Social Security questions or do you have Social Security issues? Then you need to either scan that code or give us a call. Tell them how they can reach us, Kristen.
Absolutely, Tom. Thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on the bottom of your screen, 866-709-1462. You're also welcome to take out your smartphone and you can scan that QR code. That will get you connected with the team of Mosley Wealth Management for you to come in and get your complimentary retirement blueprint. It's important to know that if you call the Social Security Administration, they can give you information, but they are not allowed to give you individualized advice based on your personal situation. So for that individualized advice, you definitely want to come in and meet with Tom and the team at Mosley Wealth Management. We have a lot more to get into on today's episode, so stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back, Southern California. You're watching Right on the Money. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined with Tom Mosley. He is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management, and we are having a very important discussion today about all things Social Security. And you know, Tom, in our last segment, we were talking about taxation. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about how that relates to Social Security. It really just reminds me of something that I always say, which is how you make a decision in one area of your financial life does and will affect all the others. And this is why we need to look at how these decisions coexist with each other, right?
Exactly.
So let's dive a little more deeply into Social Security and taxation specifically.
Okay, let's talk about, I'm going to get into the nuts and bolts here a little bit, okay?
Great.
When you're single, as I said in the last segment, when you reach $25,000, you begin to be taxed on your Social Security. When you reach $32,000 as a married couple, you begin to be taxed on your Social Security. Initially, you're taxed every new dollar you make. Now, this is what's crazy. Every new dollar you make, they bring a dollar of Social Security that's never been taxed before, and they tax you on half of that dollar. So for every $1 you make, at your tax rate, you are taxed on $1.50. And people, when I tell that in the 1-hour seminars on Social Security that we do all over Southern California, you can go to our website, Mosley Wealth Management, and find a whole list of everything we're having in the next 2 months. So go look and see. But when I say that, people are aghast. And I say, wait a minute, it gets worse, okay? When you are single and you reach $34,000, and you are married and you reach $44,000, then you begin to be taxed on your Social Security 85 cents of every dollar. So again, for making, and I've had no alcohol to drink this morning, okay? But for making $1 more, you're taxed on $1.85 at your tax rate for a while. So taxes are crucial. And if you don't think you're going to be taxed, and it's some kind of crazy, I don't even want to get into it, provisional income, where they take, get a load of this, half of your social income, all of your earned income, that's why you can't make too much money when you're on Social Security, you might have heard people say, all of your dividends and capital gains, and not all of your non-taxable interest, that's your muni bonds and things like that. All of that adds together to provisional income, and when it reaches 25 and 34 as a single person, when it reaches 32 and 44 as a married couple, you're going to start getting taxed on your Social Security. So you need to know how it happens. Now, you said something very important when we started this. Social Security is not just one cog that's out there all by itself in a retirement plan. When should you turn on Social Security? There are a lot of people who have Social Security maximization workshops. And I think they're a real joke, because let me tell you what, if you hold off until you're 70 and you live until you're 80, you've maximized your Social Security. That's how simple it is. Because about 2015, they passed a bunch of rules that there were a lot of bells and whistles to Social Security that you could play off the spouse.
A lot of strategies that you
could do. A lot
of
strategies, and poof, with one bill, they went out the window. So yes, if you wait till 70, you live till 80, you'll have more money at 80 and you'll grow from that point on. But what if, like a lady came in about 8 years ago now to my office, and she put her stuff down on the desk and she started crying. And I thought maybe she'd hurt herself or something, and her name was Gladys. And I said, Gladys, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I did my budget last night and I'm $400 a month short. She's 64 years old at that time. And so I said, that's okay, that's why you're here. And I started going through all the documents that she brought in, because we built her a retirement blueprint like we offer to do for you. And we started going through it, and I got to Social Security, and I said, Gladys, $1,400 a month for Social Security. How long have you been drawing that? And she said, oh, I'm not drawing it. She said, I went to a Social Security maximization workshop, and they told me, don't take it until I'm 70 so I can maximize it. And just to be very sweet, what are you going to do until you get to 70? You know, dirt does not taste very well.
No,
you know,
we don't want that for any of you.
It doesn't have that flavor. Even if you put A1 sauce on dirt, it does not work, okay? And so your plan, that's what we cannot overemphasize. Your plan is different than anybody else's plan. We call what we do, we'll run a report for you, but we call it a Social Security optimization plan. What is the most optimal time for you, depending on, like you said, to lead this segment, depending on everything else that you've got? Could you draw down on some other resources before turning on social and then build up your social? That might work for you. Otherwise, if you draw down all of your other resources, you get to 70, you have no other resources, and you then turn to your Social Security. That's not a good plan either. People like to have free money and then income money. That's why we need you to reach out to us. It's up to you at this point. We can help you on your Social Security, but you need to reach out. We can help you determine and give you your options so you will know when the very best time for you to turn on your Social Security and to begin to take your social. It may be late, it may be early. It all depends on you. There may be strategies that are out there that you don't know about, that are still in existence, and we can help you, but we can't help you if you don't reach out to us. It's like, here's the life preserver. You've got to grab it, and you've got to call us, and you've got to let us know that you'd like to meet with us. Kristen, tell them how to reach us.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Tom, thank you so much. And to our viewers at home, we hope that you found this to be valuable and educational. It's how it's intended each and every week. We encourage you, give yourself the gift of peace of mind that can come from knowing when would be the optimal time for you to claim your Social Security. What's right for you might not necessarily be right for the person sitting next to you. So you need to pick up the phone and call 866-709-1462 to get your complimentary retirement blueprint from Tom Mosley and the team at Mosley Wealth Management. We appreciate you watching. We love you, Southern California. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we will see you next time.